majority of the rest of the Math 10 course is concerned with equations of straight lines and systems of equations. I'd like to start by explaining precisely what an equation means. A line or a curve is made up of points, potentially infinitely many points. Every single one of these points has an x and a y coordinate. The equation of a line or a curve explains the relationship between those two coordinates, how the y is related to the x. These three equations here, y equals 3x minus 5. This tells us that any point lying on the line has the property that its y coordinate is 3 times its x coordinate minus 5. The second equation, 2x plus 3y equals 9, tells us that for a point to lie on this line, it must have the property that twice its x coordinate plus 3 times its y coordinate equals 9. And this third one is actually a quadratic curve rather than a line. Y equals x squared minus 4 tells us that the y coordinate of any point lying on this line must be equal to the square of its x coordinate minus 4. Okay, so on this little graph here we have a collection of points and they all lie on a straight line, and we can try to find out what the relationship between the coordinates is and hence what the equation of this line is. Let's start off with this point here. The coordinates of this point, well, it has an x coordinate of 0 and a y coordinate of 3. So we have 0, 3. When x is 1, the y coordinate is 4. When x is 2, the y coordinate of this point is 5. When x is 4, the y coordinate is 7. Let's look at points on the negative. When x is minus 1, the y coordinate is 2. And when x is minus 2, the y coordinate is 1. Is there anything common to all these coordinates? And if we look at it, in every single one of these, it is the case that the y coordinate is 3 more than the x coordinate. The y coordinate is 3 more than the x coordinate in every case. Therefore, the equation of the points that we've selected, and indeed any point which lie on this straight line, is that the y coordinate is equal to the x coordinate plus 3. Y equals x plus 3. Let's see how we can actually find out the points which do lie on a particular straight line given their equation. Here we've got the equation y equals 3x minus 2. In other words, the y coordinate of any point lying on this line is 3 times its x coordinate, subtract 2. Well, we do it by creating a table of values and finding out the associated y values. So we'll start off with x equals 0, which is of course points on the y-axis. This vertical line here is where x equals 0. If x equals 0, then y is 3 times 0 minus 2, which is minus 2. If x is 1, which is here, if x is 1, then the y coordinate is 3 times 1, 3 minus 2, which is 1. If x is 2, y is 3 times 2, which is 6, subtract 2 is 4. And if x is 3, y is 3 times 3, which is 9, subtract 2, which is 7. We'll also have a look at a couple of points on the negative x. So when x is negative 1, the y coordinate is 3 times negative 1, which is negative 3, subtract 2. And when x is negative 2, 3 times negative 2 is minus 6, subtract 2. So here we have a number of points, a number of coordinates for these points that we can plot. So 0, minus 2, when x is 0, y is minus 2. 1, 1, when x is 1, y is 1. 2, 4, when x is 2, y needs to equal 4. x is 3, y equals 7, so 3, 7. And for good measure, the negatives, when x is minus 1, the y coordinate is negative 5, and when x is minus 2, the y coordinate is minus 8. And we can see that they all appear to lie on a straight line, pretty steep, but it looks something like that. And that is the equation of the straight line, y equals 3x minus 2. So second example, let's have a look at y equals 4 minus a half x. Again, because we're using halves, we can choose whichever values of what we want for the table of values, but it probably makes sense to use even numbers since we're going to have to halve them. So minus 4, minus 2, 0, 2, 4. So when x is minus 4, we have the y coordinate is 4 subtract half the x value. Well, half of minus 4 is minus 2. So the y coordinate is 4 subtract minus 2. 4 subtract minus 2 is 4 plus 2, which is 6. When x is minus 2, half of minus 2 is minus 1. So we have y equals 4 subtract minus 1, which is 5. When x is 0, we have 4 minus 0. When x is 2, we have 4 minus a half of 2 is 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. And when x is 4, 4 minus a half of 4 is 4 minus 2, which is 2. So when x is negative 4, the y coordinate is y equals 6. When x is negative 2, the y coordinate is 5. When x is 0, the y coordinate is 4. When x is 2, the y coordinate is 3. And when x is 4, the y coordinate is 2. And we can see that all these points lie on a straight line sloping downwards. And that then is the straight line with equation 4 minus a half x.